rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome to the October Board of Trustees meeting. I always start this out with the announcement of the Employee of the Month for the Village of Southampton. This month is it's Michael Stewart Jr. He's a heavy equipment operator in the Highway Department, and I'm just going to write what he John Brostowski, supervisor, wrote about him. And during his tenure with Southampton Village, Michael Jr. has proven to himself that he's capable of exercising his experience as equipment operator, truck driver, and laborer. This is a deserved title, and I hope that it brings closure to the shortcomings that happened earlier in his career prior to being assigned to the Highway Department. He's improved on this, and he's a great addition to the village workforce. So, Michael, I want to congratulate you for the being named Employee of the Month. So, I don't know if he's here tonight. Sometimes they're here. He's not here tonight. So, well, we have a nice little plaque for him. So, we have a public comment section. We have 3 minutes. We have a couple people who've already signed up. So we have first is Nika, who is she's here for the public hearing. You're here for the public hearing. Evelyn Conrad.
Good evening. I would like to read into the record document 132, the first part of it, from the suit against Mayor Eckley and former trustee Robinson and attorney Robinson, which is dated 21 August, and it's a letter from me to Judge Bianco. As you know, all the docket in federal court is open to the public, so everybody is able to access it and read it. Dear Judge Bianco, I'm asking for a protective order for me and for my accountant against harassment and pressure from the government defendants and their attorney to return a check that, 1, I never solicited, 2, that was sent to me in the mail, and 3, that I did not and do not intend to cash. They were not the makers of the check, nor the signers, nor the payee, and there is no lawful reason for them to have this check, although I will gladly send them a copy of it, Exhibit 1, with courtesy copy by express mail to this court. To understand the issue, the court has to know what has happened. On 5 August 2013, I received a check in the U.S. mail made out to me for $6,568.33, Exhibit 1, which is being mailed to the court by express mail. At first, I thought it was one of my municipal investments that had matured, but I soon realized that those were long gone. When I looked at the check memorandum, I saw that I was listed as claimant, although I had not claimed anything, and that the check had a claim number, VSOU 212-007-001, Public Officials Liability. I was neither a claimant nor a public official, nor had I sent a claim or invoice for pay legal expenses. On 6 August 2013, I signed 2 notarized affidavits with copies of the above check attached, which stated that 1, it was received by me by mail on 5 August, that it was unsolicited, and 2, I had no intention of cashing it. I had PDFs made and sent them to organizations which keep my files. Thereafter, on 6 August, I Googled the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal, the payer of whom I had no knowledge, and got their Albany telephone number, and spoke to a man who identified himself as Kevin Crawford, the last name matching the signature on the check. I asked him about the underlying documentation for the check, and he told me that this was in the claims department. I asked who in the claims department. He said, oh yes, he's casualty claims manager, and gave me the name. I asked where to reach him. He said, claims office in Uniondale, Long Island. I made the mistake of saying, why does that not surprise me? Thus, on Wednesday, 7 August, or Thursday, 8 August, when I called the claims office in Uniondale, Long Island, I got no cooperation on the underlying documents for
Conrad,
anything.
How much longer there?
Oh, about 4 paragraphs, please. They're rather important.
Okay.
On Thursday, 8 August, I called my accountant and, with his permission, emailed him the copy of the check and the affidavits and asked him to phone the claims office of the New York Municipal Insurance Reciprocal to ask for documents underlying the copy of the check that I had mailed him. On Friday, 9 August, starting at 10 a.m., I had the astounding email from David Arnson, attorney for Mayor Epley and the other government officials, which is Exhibit 2 herein. Mr. Arnson, who is neither the payer nor the payee of the check, nor the insurer who had issued this wrong check, insisted that I send this check back to him. I said he should do exactly what my accountant had asked for, provide the underlying documentation for that check, which would be interesting. On Friday, 9 August, I sent the above, Exhibit 2, to my accountant, who said, "That's crazy. Why does he want that check? It's not his check." On Friday, 9 August, later that day, the insurer sent me the excuse for the mistake, which could not have happened the way she said, and asked for the check back. On Friday, 9 August, my accountant, terrified, called me and said they'd been harassing him. On Tuesday, 13 August, I received the 5-page documentation attached of the mistake, including the fraudulent 3rd page dated 9 August, on which someone on behalf of the government defenders law firm claims to be sending a payment voucher saying, "Please pay 2/3 of the invoice, $6,568.33, without any underlying documentation like legal bills, and without the proper channels, which are not from the law firm directly to Right Risk, which is apparently the parent company of the insurer." Last paragraph. Your Honor, I do have additional information, I certainly do, but do not want to overburden this court. The above information, I hope, should suffice for a protective order. In any case, the current effort of the government defendants and their law firm to retrieve the original check is misplaced. They did not issue the check, their insurer did, they were not the payee. I am, although I surely do not wish to be, nor do I wish to cash that check. According to the law, they have no right to this check. A corrected one could be issued in their name without return of this check. I won't go into the other detail, but this entire packet is here for you, which I'll pass along. You keep one too, certainly for Mr. Peters. And the rest is for anyone here who might be interested in these matters. I think it's called entrapment. That's when the police does it. There are sufficient numbers. Keep one for yourself by all means. The rest, if anyone has interest in white-collar crime, there it is.
Do we have anybody else from the public who'd like to speak? Okay, we'll close the public comment section. We're going to go into no board presentations. We have one public hearing, Village Latch rezoning. Rick, do you want to?
We have received a petition from Marta Beyer, Martin White, and the Southampton Village Latch Inn, Inc. for a change in the zoning map, rezoning the property from the R-20 Residence District to the MTL Motel Business District, having to do with 109 Hill Street and 101 Hill Street. And they've also previously provided a environmental assessment form for our review, and tonight we're having a public hearing on it. So it's open.
Excellent. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mark, I do have about 5 letters
Okay.
to read in. You want to open
Why don't we
first,
do
or-
the public presentation first, and then we'll open it to the public for comment, and then we'll read the letters, and then we will go from there. All right. Thanks, Nika.
Good evening. Nika Strunk, 37 Windmill Lane, Southampton, for the applicants Marta Beyer, Martin White, and Southampton Village Latch Inn, Inc. I do have 4 letters. I don't know if they were all sent directly to the village as well, but maybe when you
Sure.
do that part, you could include them.
Why don't we do this with the boards, so that way everybody in the audience and the camera can pick it up. Let's turn them a little bit, because we have a packet in front of us, actually. Charlie, are you able to pick that up?
No, I don't have photographs.
Oh, you do have
We took
photographs.
photos
Okay.
before we
All right,
started
great.
as well.
Thanks.
Photos of the property. Was recently taken from the other side of Hill Street. This is a photo of the main building, which is called The Latch. And this is a photo of another building on the property called the Terry Cottage. And here as well, and I think the board has all of these photos in their packets. But this is a recent aerial photo of the project site. I'll just put it here for a minute, maybe public can see it. It's currently 2 parcels, and they total approximately 5 acres. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I don't really need to keep it up. Thank you. You'd like to see more? Okay. Okay, so why don't I
Just put it over here. Just put it on the windowsill. Nika, put it right over here. There you go. Thanks. That's fine. Okay.
You can also take the microphone out of the stand.
Oh, okay, good. So, the owners of the property are Marta and Martin White. Marta is here tonight, and also working with me on this application is InterScience, which prepared the EAF, and Brant Reiner from InterScience is here. I previously submitted the proof of mailing to the village. I take it that was received. We did mail to everyone within 200 feet of the property. The purpose of this application is to ask the board to place the zoning of this property the way that its planning studies have recommended for many years, which is as motel business zoning. The reason that we're making this request at this time is because the motel business zoning will allow the property to continue to be operated going forward into the future as a viable hotel operation, which is what it has been for nearly a century, and it's something that the village of Southampton needs and will continue to need going forward. Currently, the property is residential zoning, it's R20. And the Village Latch has a pre-existing certificate of occupancy for a rooming house use. That's a little bit of an anachronism in today's Southampton Village. So I'd like to explain a little bit about the history of the property and how this came to be, and which I think will also help the board to understand why it is so necessary that the zoning should be updated to match the use that's the most appropriate for the property. The Village Latch and Terry Cottage were originally part of the Irving Hotel, which was located across Hill Street on the southwest corner of Hill Street and First Neck Lane. And I believe the Latch building was known as the Irving Latch, and it was an annex to that hotel. The Irving Hotel, my understanding is it was owned by a man named Irving Terry, and the Terry Cottage was also part of the Irving Hotel operation. The 2 buildings that you can see here, which are also visible from Hill Street, were built in 1915. The Irving Hotel was torn down in 1974. And actually, I have with me, I just wanted to read from, the owners had saved this New York Times article since November 10th, 1974. And it said, the Irving Hotel, the Grand Dam of South Fork Resort Inns, went the way of the bulldozer last week. The end came suddenly, although not unexpectedly. The venerable hotel, whose registers once bore the names of Presidents Theodore Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy and the DuPonts, Fords, and Vanderbilts, and other members of the Society's 400, had been vacant since 1972, when its present owners closed its doors. It goes on to explain how in the last year of its operation, the Irving Hotel lost approximately $80,000, and times had changed, and eventually it was torn down. And as were a number of major historic hotels around this same time period, the article talks about several in West Hampton, East Hampton's Maidstone Inn, Seven Ponds Inn and Watermill. So at this time, this type of operation was apparently not particularly viable. The two buildings across the street, the Terry Cottage and the Latch, would very likely have also been torn down, but they were purchased by Marta and Martin in 1976 and 1977. They were one parcel, but the owners at the time could not afford to buy them both together, so there was a subdivision done, and they bought the Latch first and the Terry Cottage second. And over time, really over the last few decades, they have devoted their lives and all their energies to restoring the buildings, and they have built up a hotel operation on the site. And so that operation has essentially continued the historic use of the property that was there since 1915 when the buildings were built. Now, this article mentions some prominent guests that were on the register of the Irving Hotel. There have also been some very prominent guests at the Village Latch. Joe Biden has stayed there, Al Gore has stayed there, many, many celebrities have stayed there, and not only celebrities and other famous people, but over the past decades, the guests of the Village Latch have strolled the streets of Southampton Village, and they've patronized our restaurants and our galleries and shops. They've gone to beaches, they attend local parties and benefits, and overall they have contributed tremendously to the vitality of Southampton Village. This is something that, the importance of the hotel operation there at the gateway to Southampton Village Center on Hill Street has been recognized on several occasions by planning studies done for this board. And some of them I'd just like to read from. They're quoted in my petition. In 1991, there was a motel study ordered by the village that explained that motel district zoning was actually the most appropriate zoning for this site. And just to back up a little bit, my understanding is that a big rezoning was, or some type of comprehensive rezoning was done, or zoning was done in 1973. And at that time, a motel district was created in the code of the Village of Southampton, and it was mapped on the Irving Hotel property. And that was the only part of the village where it was actually mapped. But after the Irving Hotel was demolished, it was later, that zoning of that property was later changed to multifamily to make way for the townhouses that are there today. And after that, the motel district did not appear anywhere on the map of the Village of Southampton, the zoning map. So in 1991, this planning study explained that the residential zoning of the Village Latch parcel really did not make sense. It said that the property is located between the village's central business district and the Whitefield condominiums on Hill Street across from the existing condominium development, which meant the condominiums where the Irving Hotel was. Immediately to the north lies a leaching field, dedicated village parkland, and a residential subdivision of half-acre lots. To the northeast lies Cooper's Farm Road and the office district on Windmill Lane. The character of the area has long been well established. The uses on each property are also well established. Neither the adjacent neighborhood or the existing development on each parcel point to the R20 designation as being logical or consistent with existing development. So, and actually on that point, I'd like to show another exhibit. This is a map of the overall neighborhood. Maybe I should do this. This is a map of the overall neighborhood that shows, it's got several different things that it shows. The blue overlay is the historic district, and it shows in green the various zoning districts. So the property is here outlined in yellow, and you can see that to the west of it is MF25, that's where the Whitefield condominium complex is. To the south of it is MF20, which is where I think that they're called the Terry Townhouses is. To the east is the Southampton Inn, which is also zoned residential, but has a existing CO for 90 rooms as a hotel. And the leaching field that is owned by the village is up here, and the Cooper's Farm subdivision is over here. So basically, this property is situated between, next to another hotel operation and between several multifamily developments. There's also another multifamily development now on Cooper's Farm Road in that location. So basically, the character of the overall neighborhood is densely populated residential zoning or hotel use, multifamily zoning or hotel use. So, which is why the planning study concluded that residential zoning did not make sense. And what it recommended was that the Village Latch and Terry Cottage parcels, and also it did recommend that the Southampton Inn parcel as well be rezoned to motel district. It said, it is felt that the use of the property as a hotel/motel complex is appropriate for the property, and this is speaking specifically to the Village Latch and Terry Cottage, and that the visual appearance of the structures and uses from public streets is at least not objectionable. It is also felt that redevelopment of this site for half-acre residential lots as currently zoned is not logical. And it concluded, it is recommended that this district be mapped to include the Southampton Inn, Village Latch, and Terry Cottage. Now that recommendation was reiterated and incorporated into the comprehensive plan, that the last one that the village did in 2000, which is also attached to the petition. And it says the recommendation of the comprehensive plan is to map the motel zone on a small portion of Hill Street to encompass the Southampton Inn property and the Village Latch Inn property, thereby recognizing the presence, longevity, and isolation of these two significant uses on the outskirts of the downtown, where they are now surrounded by high-density residential uses due to subsequent rezonings in the area. This is the original recommendation made in the 1991 motel district study, and this plan reiterates it. So as you can see, there's very strong support in the planning documents for the request that we're making. And the work that the village has done in more recent years also, although I'm talking about the work that it's done in the village business district. This property is about 300 feet from the village business district. In its plan that the village recently did, it has recognized that hotel uses are a very important part of the village center. And it said in its planning study, hotels by their nature add significant street life and village activity for all seasons, day and night. They can fit into the historic design character as proposed in the new guidelines. They are a mix of both residential and commercial design, which is very consistent with the historic building types in the village. And I think the village business district zoning regulations were amended to allow hotel uses. And my understanding also is that it was made, rather than a special exception use requiring ZBA approval, it's been made a special permit use requiring Board of Trustees approval. So clearly, I think the board has recently recognized the importance of a hotel uses, and I think that this application really fits into that understanding. So that's the history, and that's the planning documents. And what I'd like to talk about next is the future. Marta and Martin have been operating this property for many, many years. They would like to retire and pursue their artistic activities. They're both very accomplished artists. And as probably many people know, the property is for sale, and they're hoping to find a buyer who's going to continue the path that they have already started for this property, which I think the planning studies show, and probably, hopefully, the board recognizes is the best path for this property. But the problem arises because of this sort of anachronism in the zoning approvals for this property. It's R20 with a rooming house certificate of occupancy, and that really makes no sense at this stage of Southampton. A rooming house is not even defined in your current code. So when you look at the property and you think about the different options for this property, you're basically looking at the conforming option would be a residential subdivision. And that's, I think would be a loss to the village if the hotel operation was to, cease and a few more houses were built on this property. I think the village would lose something very important. And also, we have to recognize that the needs of guests and travelers and visitors to Southampton in this day and age have changed. And the Village Latch, anybody who's been there, I'm sure will agree that it's very, very charming. But most people who come to Southampton these days are looking for something with a higher level of luxury than it can currently offer. And the owners have told me that their best and most expensive rooms always are taken first. It's also not an easy operation when you're mostly dealing with a 12-weekend season. So what's really needed to make the hotel use viable for the future is a new zoning that's going to allow an appropriate development for the property to take it forward into the future, recognizing its historic past, and also to add some amenities that are going to extend the season and draw people on a more year-round basis. So the motel district zoning will do that, because in that zoning, not only is a hotel use, it's a special exception use, but a restaurant use is also a permitted use, and a spa, from my reading of the code, is also a permitted use. And that's really what the people who have worked on this property and looked into what can be done here envision as the best option for the property. The owners have worked with the architect CMX Sammy to develop some conceptual plans that are not something that we're asking the board to approve, or it's not, nobody's getting ready to build these plans today, but they show what could be done with the property. They're like an illustration of what could be done if the zoning was changed. And those. So this is a site plan. Again, it's totally conceptual, but it would. I don't want to block your view of it.
We actually have it here.
Oh, okay. Okay. So what it would do the design that he's developed is very beautiful, and he's proposed bringing these two buildings, well, the Terry Cottage is here. The Village Latch sits back a bit, bringing it forward so that it would be open to the street, and opening up a new entrance rather than having driveways along the side, opening up a new central entrance that would make both buildings a little bit more prominent on Hill Street, and then creating a new hotel building in the center with a big pool and some pavilions around it. And in this building, it would also be a restaurant and a spa and an indoor pool. I mean, that's what he's envisioned for the property. And I think that something like this in this location would really be a draw to people on a year-round basis, and would be something that could become a tremendous asset to the village. This design shows 76 rooms. The zoning code already contains density provisions, which are 1 unit per 3,000 square feet of lot area. This is about a 5-acre property, and it, under that existing density calculation, could accommodate 76 rooms, as well as the restaurant and the spa. So, something like this, I think, would be a great use for the property going forward. It's not something that's going to be, even if the board approves this rezoning, there are many, many, many more steps, obviously, before you would ever get to this. I'd like to make that clear. I mean, you'd have, first of all, you'd have to get the approval for the use from the Zoning Board of Appeals, unless the board wanted to change it like it did. Okay. You'd have to get that approval from the, okay. You'd have to get that approval. You'd have to get planning board site plan approval. You'd have to get ARB approval. So there would be many levels of approvals, obviously, that would go into this. But this is an illustration of what could be done. Now, another, as the owners have been preparing this application with me, one of the things that they've been keeping an eye on is the Topping Rose Hotel in Bridgehampton. I think that's sort of an example of a similar type of development, although this is a much bigger property and a larger scale that's envisioned. But it's something that I think the Village of Southampton really truly has a need for. And going back to I wanted to because there was one more thing I wanted to say about the historic use. It's one thing to preserve a historic building, but it's a greater thing in many ways to preserve a historic use in a historic building. And since 1915, people have been coming to Southampton and have been staying in these buildings on Hill Street and visiting Southampton. And I think that that's something that we want to be able to continue. Currently, with the zoning that's in place, it's not at all clear that that would continue as a viable use going forward. Economically, I don't know if it would work. Because somebody who's going to bring this property forward into the future is going to want to see a return on their investment. The other option that many people have considered for this property is multifamily zoning and to convert it to some type of condo or townhouse complex. And actually, an application was made for that a few years ago, but it was not completed. And in many ways, that's sort of an easier route because just economically, it's sort of easier to pull off. But I'm not trying to foreclose that option, but I think that this really brings more to the Village of Southampton. I think it jives with the the goals of the Southampton Center and certainly the goals of the Village Center plan for creating a more vibrant year-round village center. And I think, we'd like to ask the board to basically help the property to go that direction in the future. So that's the presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Guys have any questions for me?
No, covered it pretty much.
That was very thorough, and it's a great piece of property, and I think that anybody who's going on it realizes the value that it provides to the village. So, Nancy, did you have any
No,
questions?
just
Bill?
showing.
No.
Mike?
I have one question.
Yes.
Really, maybe you could expound on it a bit. Being in the historic district,
Yes.
changing it to hotel use, the historic district stays with that piece?
The rezoning would not affect the historic district.
And isn't there ramifications on the historic district on density as far as the number of units you can, your total square footage of coverage?
That's not, that has to do with the zoning regulations,
Right.
not the historic district designations.
But those would carry forward.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Question mark. Do we have anybody from the public who'd like to make a comment on this? Okay.
Steve,
Yes, Dee Dee.
I'm missing the aerial imagery.
Come on up to the front.
It's missing. If you-
Aerial imagery he's missing. You wanna
Just show
look at
that, so this, it's not in my book, if you could.
Okay.
Get me a copy, thanks.
I'm willing to share this with you if you'd like.
Sorry.
It's all right, I just.
Okay.
I'm Dee Dee Moan. I'm at 91 Hill Street in Southampton. Thank you very much for the suggestion of rezoning. It was a lovely presentation. I just wrote down a couple of little notes. First is that I don't understand why the rezoning is going to maintain the beautiful landmark status of these two Hill Street buildings. I mean, are those buildings landmarked, or could they be demolished and replaced with a motel? Another question is that I have a property next door. I've never, in 16 years of ownership of the Southampton Inn, run into an issue of having a pre-existing non-conforming use. I'm pre-existing, non-conforming, and complying. It sounds to me like this is a pre-existing, non-conforming, non-complying use, which is being asked to rezone in order to increase the density, but that's just a question. These planning, and I read some of these documents from 1991, which was prior to my purchase, and the year 2000, which was when I was a newborn in the hotel business here, are very stale dated at this point in time. Some of the comments that are in them clearly are inaccurate as they pertain to the 91 and 71 Hill parcels. In addition, I don't understand how a new zoning will ensure the proper hotel use. It's going to ensure a potential for much more density for bringing in spa and restaurant uses when we have spas and restaurants that are struggling at this point in time to survive on an annual basis. But mostly, I just ask that I need more time because I received a notice from Nika about a week ago, and I'm here.
This is just the start of it.
Oh, okay, good.
This
So I
is-
would
yeah,
like
we're
to
not going to
just
approve anything
express-
tonight. We're not going to close a public hearing tonight.
Okay.
We're going to, we're going to give it to her tonight. No,
Well,
I'm just
I
kidding.
love the village latch.
No,
I love
I know
the
you
look.
do.
I love
I know.
the way the
Yeah.
entrance, the western entrance to the village, and I would love to have wonderful hospitality, but I'm concerned that there's not enough understanding on my part of ramifications, in particular rezoning of the properties that I own next door. Thank you very much.
There's a whole process that we have to go through.
Okay.
From,
Thank you.
all legitimate stuff,
All right.
questions.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you.
We'll get back to you on the, we should find out the landmark status of the buildings. Is it in here? Or are they landmarked or not? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't believe they're landmark buildings. They're in the historic district. I don't
They are a
believe
contributing factor, and they are contributing.
I think I pulled the
They should be.
the files. They are
should be.
they are designated
Yeah,
contributing
okay.
buildings in the historic district.
Okay, all right,
It's going
great.
to be historic.
Okay, yes.
My name is Priscilla Ullman. I am an owner next door at Whitefield.
Okay.
And I've just been asked by our condo association to request that, I mean, I'm being a little repetitive because you just said this, but that this hearing be held open and not adjourned until we've had a chance to secure legal counsel.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks. Susan?
My name is Susan Stevenson. I live in the village. How many hotel rooms are there now in the village latch?
I don't know the answer to that.
Do you know?
Actually, yeah, what are the numbers?
Well, honestly, I didn't come here with
Okay.
that.
She's not prepared for that. So
Is it doubling? Is the density, the number of hotels? Okay.
We're not talking about
Well,
we're not
I
talking about
am.
the plan.
I
Okay.
am. I'm concerned about the
And-
noise from a restaurant, the turning from the Hill Street, the fact that if these buildings aren't landmarked, that this entire proceeding would then allow for an enormous, for a big place in what is a residential neighborhood. I am completely against zoning changes because it does not protect the surrounding property owners. They knew what they were getting into when they bought there, and suddenly now we're having what could be potentially a very large and noisy complex in a space that is in a residential district. And I would just ask you to keep that in mind.
It's going to be all part of the process.
I know, but
You know that,
for me, the process is starting right here, right now.
Right.
Thank you.
And that's why we're doing this. So, okay, good. Anyone else from the public would like to make a comment? Anybody from the board? So we're going to keep the public hearing open. And none for tonight. And we have five letters. Actually, why don't we read those into the record right now?
Okay, the first one is from Jerome Leff. I've been a homeowner for 46 years at 126 Meadowmere Lane, Southampton. I know the Village Latch, and my guests have stayed there for more than 30 years. It would be an excellent all-year-round hotel with a spa and more rooms. The second one's from Ham Hogue. I am writing this letter in support of the zone change, as I feel this exception would substantially increase the health of the Village of Southampton by creating a regulated designation in our village that is sorely needed. Third is from Lynn Sums. I would like to register my negative opinion referencing the rezoning for the Village Latch. There is already a motel just about one city block away, but it's placed discreetly. I am a resident of Whitefield, which is already adjoining land. We can hear much of what our neighbor and guests are doing. My feeling is that multiple units next door would impinge on the privacy and quiet of Whitefield, which is why we invested in location in Southampton. The next one is from Donna Soloway. We are writing to you in support of the application by the Village Latch Inn to be rezoned from R20 residential zoning to that of a motel-hotel district. Southampton needs a five-star resort that offers a sophisticated spa and health club with meeting rooms for corporate retreats to attract people year-round and not just for those 12 peak season weekends. As the Village of Southampton has no hotel-motel zone, the Village Latch is a natural to be just that, and this would make it financially feasible to have those facilities. The Village Latch was designed by Stanford White and represent Southampton's Gatsby years. The plans that are currently being drawn up for the new facility do not in any way alter the original exteriors of the main house of the Village Latch Inn and the Terry Cottage, thereby preserving the historical character of the original buildings. As longtime, very satisfied clients of the Village Latch Inn, we recognize that the Village Latch is a very special kind of property located on 5 acres right at the entrance to the village with incredible potential. There's a very special ambience in there. Unlike a normal motel, every room is different, and over a period of 40 years, the owners have done a great deal of improvement to bring it to its present desirability that caters to sophisticated, famous people. It would be wonderful if there could be a zoning change to allow the Village Latch and the Village of Southampton to meet the future while preserving the past. Next one's from Christina Redding. I am sorry that I will not be able to attend the meeting tonight, but I would like this letter to go into the file. As a village resident, I am in support of the proposed change of the zoning for the Village Latch. I think that this change would be beneficial to our community and will bring more revenue to the village. Thank you for your consideration. David and Jan Picken. My wife and I feel strongly that the Village Latch Inn is a gem in our community. Southampton needs to keep this wonderful architectural hotel inn as a statement of the charm and uniqueness of our village. We strongly recommend that the zoning for this be changed to hotel-motel so that the Village Latch can upgrade to a 5-star resort without changing the character and appeal it offers to our village visitors. For years, we have booked many members of our family and friends in the Latch, always with great satisfaction. We understand that the 5 acres on which the property sits would nicely allow for a lovely spa and health club. It would attract guests year-round, helping many local businesses and restaurants as well. That can only be an added value to Southampton Village. The last one is from Roy Andrus and Linda Lake. We are writing to endorse the petition of Marta Bayer and Martin White for the Village Latch to change the zoning of their property on Hill Street to accommodate a 5-star hotel. We are their immediate neighbor on Culver Street and have been for over 35 years. Additionally, my wife, Linda Lake, ran a retail operation on Job's Lane for over 20 years. We strongly feel that a 5-star hotel will be a welcome addition to the village and would blend in seamlessly into the neighborhood. The hotel, with its additional amenities such as the indoor pool, would undoubtedly be attractive to the inn's present sophisticated clientele and attract others, including corporations. It would do much to even out the seasonality of their present operations. We have found Marta and Martin to be hardworking, conscientious, entrepreneurial, creative, a distinct asset to the village business community. We trust we look favorably on their petition.
Thanks for that. So we're going to leave the public hearing open on this and answer some questions. So, okay. Thanks. Let me go to.
I'm sorry, Mark. Just one
Yeah.
other thing before you go on. At some point, we need to have Nelson Pope and Voorhees take a look at the environmental assessment documents that the applicant has provided, and complete the environmental assessment. We don't normally do that until we've held a public hearing, in case there are environmental comments that come in from the public. We can either wait until another public hearing before we do that, or we can start it now, but, whatever you guys want to do. But
I think it would only be fair
Yeah.
because we actually had someone from Whitefield. Who said
Yeah, I
they'd
think it
like
would be
legal
better to wait.
counsel,
To wait.
and
I just wanted to
Southampton
mention
landowner.
that would be part of the process.
Yeah, so we'll wait until they have had an opportunity, hopefully by the next board meeting. Which is basically in about 10 days or so, they might be able to come, or the first one in November. Be able to come in so we can keep the process moving, and be able to respond one way or the other from this board.
This will go on the next.
We'll have it at the work session, which is on
23rd.
23rd.
Be on October 22nd, Tuesday, October 22nd, 5 o'clock.
And then it will probably be carried over until the first meeting in November also. We'll keep it open.
I actually am not available on the 22nd.
Okay. No, I don't think so. Everything will be recorded and for the record, and if there's any response and stuff, so, okay. Okay, thanks. Actually, what I actually would like to do, now we've had this, I'd like to make a modification in the agenda to move to agenda item number 5. Resolution number 5. Is that? Yeah, that's right. I actually, so.
All right, resolution number 5, resolved that the Board of Trustees approve the appointment of Charles W. Noble as a probationary police officer at a starting salary of $59,083.98, effective October 11th, 2013.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
The discussion?
Discussion is that he's been worked for us for quite a long time. He's CJ's worked as a TCO. He went through the academy on his own time. He's worked as a seasonal police officer last summer and then also this summer. Strong recommendations from the chief and the police department. Local Southampton High School graduate and would be a third-generation police officer in the village. So,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Let's swear him in.
Charles, you're last. Come on up. Raise your right hand, please. I, Charles W. Noble,
I, Charles W. Noble,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Constitution of the State of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and I will faithfully discharge
the duties of police officer
the duties of police officer
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
State your signature.
Thank you.
He's still in the pin.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Fantastic. We're very honored to have you part of this force.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So, fine young man. So we're lucky. The village is very lucky. So why don't we get some team photos here, guys, okay? The village board down here also. And, in the middle. Steve, how are you? How are you? Thank you. Yes, how are you? Guys, come on over. Congratulations. Hey, Rich, we need some more sharp ones. That's awesome, Bill. We are the sharp ones.
Yeah, you guys are gonna have to
You gotta get.
get a little closer.
Yeah, come on, guys. Hey, Mike, just behind us, so.
All right, I've got everyone but you, sorry.
That's all right.
There we go.
Well, I want to see you in there for one.
All right, I don't have you though, sorry.
I'll jump in the back.
Stand on the table, Chris.
Stand on the table, there you go.
One more.
Thank you very much. This big, I'll get you $20 every other week.
There you go. What was there?
Didn't even have to return his equipment. That's right. Probably right around the corner, wasn't it?
Know how to clear a room.
A lot of family members there.
Yeah.
Grandparents, parents, aunts, uncles.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, let's go back to communications
Back to the top.
to the board, yeah. So,
One from Mahoney Associates. Please accept this letter as a formal request from Mahoney Associates to utilize Flying Point Park on Monday, October 21st, 12 to 4 for our employee annual barbecue. As in the past, we understand we are fully responsible for any and all refuse removal. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Don Mahoney, Jr.
I'll make that motion to approve Mahoney Associates to use Flying Point Field in accordance with their letter dated October 4th.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that the reading of the minutes of the work session of September 24th, 2013 be dispensed with, and those minutes be accepted as filed by the village administrator. The actions taken at meeting be and hereby are ratified and approved. Got a motion?
Make that motion.
Second? Favor? Resolved that the claims for the warrants dated October 10th, 2013, totaling $262,373.42. Warrant 8 General Fund, $421,594.77. Warrant 5 Capital Reserve Fund, and the village payrolls for the period from September 20th to October 3rd, 2013 be ordered and approved. Have a motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Discussion. Item 1, Alert Door Corporation, Fire Prevention Supplies, 2004-2050. 2 payments to Aldo Andrioli as village engineer for September and October of $3,250 each. Atlantic Wireless Communications, consulting fee $1,213.33. Page 2, CSE Employment Benefit Fund, October insurance premium $22,791.83. Page 3, Cast Productions, videography $1,185.70. Page 4, Commission of Taxation and Finance, third quarter MTA tax, $7,892.64. Dell Marketing, radio room computers, $2,244. Page 5, Glencoe Supplies, science supplies for the Highway Department, $6,318.32. Page 7, Island Biogreens, compost supplies for the Parks Department, $2,400. Page 8, James Lynch irrigation at the softball fields, $2,758.60. Jobs and Maine Realty, Certiorari Settlement, $11,199.25. Johnson Electrical Construction Corp., Tremba Traffic Signal Maintenance, $1,275. LIPA, Building Department bill, $2,591.13. Page 9, another LIPA bill for the Building Department, $3,903.96, and one to the Fire Department to LIPA, $5,539.01. Page 10, Morgan Auto Supply, going on to page 11, parts for the garage, 2070-13 for September. Page 12, a series of payments to Nelson Pope and Boris for consulting, $1,995, $1,687.50. On page 13, again to Nelson Pope, $3,516.92, $3,987.50, $1,980, $3,217.50, $1,466.16, and the last one is on page 14, $2,365. Next telecommunications, September cell phone bill, $1,793.05. Norsec and Sons, September carding, $5,193.02. Page 15, New York State Unemployment, third quarter unemployment insurance, 2007-10. Pitney Bowes, mail for the Village Hall, $2,400. Page 16, Robinson & Robinson, legal fees for the Richard Cairns and Sue Sable versus the ARB action, $22,763.53. Ronco, cleaning supplies, $1,998.09. Page 17, safety marking, street striping for the Highway Department, $10,007.06, and two payments to Schroeder and Strom, certiorari settlements, $27,531.77, and $2,334.89. Page 18, Southampton Nursery, landscaping at 470 Firehouse on Hampton Road, $1,919.70. Southampton Town Controller, dump fees, $1,454.40. Page 19, Sprague, 3,017 gallons of diesel fuel, $9,912.21. Vince Toomey at the bottom of the page, going on to page 20, legal fees for September, $9,819.18. United Metro Energy, 2,200 gallons of gasoline, $6,106.10. Page 21, WG Service, HVAC repair at PD, $2,752.13. Wainscot sand and gravel, topsoil and dump fees for the highway, for the Parks Department, $1,122. Wright National Flood Insurance for Vets Hall, $3,532. And on page 22, Wright National Flood again, insurance for the World War I Memorial Flood Insurance, $2,645. Capital Reserve warrant, AEC Engineering, design and engineering for the elevator, $11,494.96. Always elevator, payment one for the design, for the interior cab, $5,225. Buzz 2 Chevy Olds pickup for the garage, $32,356. Firematic Supply thermal imaging camera for the fire department, $12,300. Hoserton Automall Tahoe for PD, $39,002.03. Chad Construction elevated shaft payment, $19,000. Physio Control AEDs and monitors for the ambulance barn, $91,261.78, and Syosset Truck Sales, the sweeper, of $210,955.
When will that arrive?
As soon as they get the check, it'll be in probably next week. So the check will go out tomorrow. So it'll be sometime during the course of the week. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that Barbara Wilson, Justice of the Incorporated Village of Southampton, is hereby authorized and directed to file an application for funds from the State of New York Unified Court System under its Justice Court 2013 Assistance Program in an amount not to exceed $30,000, and upon approval of said request to enter into and execute a project agreement with the state for such financial assistance to this Incorporated Village of Southampton for office, audiovisual, and other equipment for the court facility. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
What this is about, she wants to apply for a TV, a DVD player, and a rolling cart to be used for jury instruction prior to trial. Total cost is roughly $1,700. This is a statutory resolution that Jen Messiano needs in order to apply for this grant. All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved.
With the resolution, I'd like to hold that to the next meeting. I have not talked to the chief in reference to this.
On item 4?
Item number 4,
Okay.
which is the phlebotomist.
You got it.
So
Okay.
it's the first time I'm ever seeing this, and I don't know.
Well, we do have another one on staff, but this is a backup.
We do have a
We
phlebotomist
do.
on staff.
Yeah, yeah. This is for basically on call for any drunk driving arrests that they
Right.
need.
I was thinking that they took him to the hospital for that.
Yeah, now we have, it's an on-call. Doesn't happen that often, but he just is a backup position.
Maybe that's
but,
why.
You know, we can hold it.
So what would this be, adding just an extra name to the roster, kind of like?
Yep, exactly.
Like the
If the other
EMT
one's not
backup,
available,
the
this
guys-
one is, right.
So it's not,
Yeah, okay.
she's only
We
getting
can hold it.
Yeah, let's do that, because
No problem. problem.
He never said a word to me
You got
about
No sweat.
phlebotomist, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Item 6,
We
resolved.
talked about CJ and a bunch of other things, but he never said anything about the phlebotomist, and then, so.
He only goes to the big stuff, you know?
Exactly.
I couldn't pronounce the word, so I didn't say that.
You're right. Thank God you knew what it was.
Right. Item 6, resolved that the Board of
That was
Trustees.
He thought he said
that
botanist.
was an interesting, somebody said a
Conversation.
lobotomist, and then.
Yeah. Thank God you knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Senator Washington.
You're right.
It's not bad at $170 off the top, right?
Yeah, right. I think it would be more than 175
Exactly.
per
And a
draw
couple of
there, so,
zeros.
yeah.
They do replacements.
That's right.
They stop in the Meadowlands, though, right?
Item 6, resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following payments from the capital reserve account, subject to permissive referendum. AEC Engineering, $11,494.96 from Facilities Reserve. Always Elevated, $5,225 from Facilities Reserve. Physio Control, Inc., $91,261.78 from Major Equipment Reserve. Firematic Supply, $12,300 from the Fire Equipment Reserve. JED Construction, $19,000 from the Facilities Reserve. Syosset Truck Sales, $210,955 from the Major Equipment Reserve. Buzz Chu Chevrolet, $32,356 from the Major Equipment Reserve. And Hoselton Auto Mall, $39,002.03 from the Major Equipment Reserve. Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the last one is resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget transfer to eliminate a line item overage for the period ending October 10th, 2013. It will be $40,000 into claims coming from contingency. The motion?
Make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we have one discussion item, Little Lucy Halloween Pet Parade for October 26th. 1 o'clock to
Does
3
this
o'clock?
What's that?
She does this.
Yeah, every year she does this.
Manual.
Yeah, so,
But now, when is the children's parade?
on
Is-
Sunday,
Oh, Sunday.
yeah.
I know one year we didn't want them on the same
Right,
day.
yeah. But hers, well, we didn't want them at the same time, so hers has
Right.
always been in the afternoon, and when we did it on Saturday, they did it at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And, the children's
But the
parade,
children's is on Sunday.
yeah, moved to
Okay.
Sunday, yeah.
Mhm.
There's a letter in the back just describing what they're doing. It's requesting the village permit to hold our 13th annual Halloween parade on October 26th, Saturday, 1 to 3. Benefiting the Southampton Animal Shelter Foundation. Southampton Animal Shelter would like permission to park their van in front of Little Lucy's during this event. 100% of the profits collected to benefit this organization. After registration, we will walk up Job's Lane, then onto Main Street, crossing in front of Hildreth's, where we would then need a crossing guard. Then one more cross on the way back at the corner of Main and Job's Lane. All dogs and people will be walking on a sidewalk and not the street.
Make a motion to authorize the Little Lucy Halloween Pet Parade in accordance with their application.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, any comments from board members here? Rich?
Just to thank everybody who showed up for the September Fest. It was a very successful September Fest, and I know Steve sent out a list of employees that went above and beyond over the weekend to clean and ensure it was done safely, and went over, even when they weren't even working for the weekend, they did some work. So I thank everybody that participated, both for the village and for the people that showed up for the different events. It was a good weekend. That's all I got.
Mike?
In support of your Septemberfest comments, weekends are always tough for me, so I'm usually not available in the village, being in retail. But I did have a couple of house guests that were out, and they all went to the Septemberfest, and it got great reviews. They thought it was fantastic. The clam chowder they thought was great, and just all the activity. And I got to tell you, it was a real upbeat moment for the village, because I think a lot of retail operations were pleased to see the extra people in the village. And you know, a special thank you to everybody who went out and gave an extra effort in putting it together, because it was very good. It was great.
Thanks, Mike. Nancy?
I talked to a couple of people who were also very pleased, shop owners, restaurant owners. They just said they've never had a weekend like this. They would never have had a weekend like this if it wasn't for the September Fest. So I think that's a great thing. But I wanted to bring up two other things. When we did the changeover of Pine Street,
Yeah.
there's a stop sign that comes just prior to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
People go through it all the time. They don't think it's there, and they run it, and it's concerning to me because they're children. Also, people pulling out of the parking lot. I was wondering if we could put on the street big letter stop the way we have that under the railroad trestle.
Obviously,
Where is this? This is going towards Meeting House Lane?
If you're in the parking lot, you know, and you're
Okay.
coming out towards Pine Street by the
Heading
school,
Out of the parking lot.
it is
Yeah.
just to the south of it.
Okay.
It's traffic heading north
Mhm.
on Pine Street,
As
just
you're looking
before
at the
you get to
school.
as you're looking at the school, just
Okay.
as before you get to
Mhm.
the pull out. There is a stopping sign there, but people don't see it for
Yeah.
some reason. And I've
A
been
lot
there
of times
many
cars will be
times.
parked
They'll
there, too.
fly through it.
Yeah.
They block
And
it.
I just think maybe they're not used to it for one thing, because there was never a
It's a lot of
stop.
signs, too.
Yeah, and there's a lot of
Stick
well,
out.
they're seeing the backs of the do not
Right.
enter. But if we put STOP, because it's only one direction, on the ground, the way we have it by the railroad
Mm-hmm.
trestle, I'm just thinking they'll notice that more. That's just one thing. And the other place that I feel has been a problem, and I don't know why it's set up this way, but at the corner of Elm Street, where Delmonico's is
Mhm.
located, you have a stop sign heading north on Elm. You have a stop sign heading west on
Powell. Yeah.
but you don't have a stop sign from Railroad Plaza heading east.
Yeah.
And many, many times people are really confused by that
Yeah.
because cars fly through there and people are expecting it to be a three-way stop so that
Right.
you let the next driver go. I think we should look at that.
We've looked at that in the past, and part of the problem is that it's such a wide area that you put the stop sign off to the side, nobody will see it.
When we could put it
And,
on the
well,
ground again.
Well, what we'd have to do is, because we've talked to it, is build out the corner. And that actually involves drainage, there's a culvert in there. And I know Gary's looked at this a couple of times, it's just been one of those,
It's dangerous because people
No, it
don't
is.
really know whether
It's-
they're going to stop or they're
Right.
not, and they expect them to because the
Right.
other corner stops. So
Yeah.
you're coming down Elm Street and the other corner stops, so you think this corner is going to stop
Yeah.
and they pull out. I don't know how many accidents we've had. I have no idea. Maybe
Yeah.
that's what we
Yeah.
should what we should think about it. But
Yeah.
I just think those are two spots that are iffy.
yeah.
I'm aware of that.
Okay. No, I agree. And we've talked, Gary and I talked about that, and
But
we never
on
looked at it, so.
On Pine, I've seen people go through that stuff, so I don't even know it's
Yeah.
there. I don't, just fly right through it, and because of the children, I do worry about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Bill?
Septemberfest was a huge success.
Yeah.
I got there late because I have obligations every Saturday, 18 holes worth. But it was terrific. My wife went earlier and loved it, so it was terrific.
Good, great weather, too.
Yeah.
The
yeah,
weather
it
was
was
like,
the best golf
It was
days, excuse me, I mean, best days for an Oktoberfest.
I got there late too, but it was still, a lot of people
Oh,
were
it
all
was
around
going
town.
great.
It was
Yes,
great.
it
I
was
mean,
terrific.
everybody was pleased. The Southampton Center said they had a lot of visitors through. It was
Well,
Just
during the
some-
day,
Thousands.
and
we
at night.
had,
And the homecoming parade the day before was
Yep.
Yeah.
was a nice segue. That was a nice,
All in all, it was
attended,
great.
good weather.
It
That went right
was.
into
It
the
was great.
cocktail party.
and because we have the Adams Foundation, Charles Adams exhibit going on at the Southampton Center.
Right.
And they had over 500 people that went through the building on that Saturday.
yeah, I bet.
Then we had the opening that night, so.
And anyone out there that hasn't gone to that should, because you will laugh your way through there. I mean,
No,
the
there's some good
jokes
stuff in it.
are the best sense of humor, really well illustrated. It's just a joy to see.
Yeah, so it's, But I want to thank Steve, because Steve, you were a big part of that September Fest and the work that you did.
Thanks, but
And
it's all a committee too.
Well, it's a huge committee, and yes, Brenda, yeah. I mean, it's a lot of people that were involved in that. It was, I mean, Julie Fitzgerald and Jim Egan and Tom Knight.
Karen and Paul Conway,
Karen
it's a list of people,
the
but
Chamber and Paul and
Kirsten, Lonnie,
Kirsten.
she was great.
You know that we had all sorts of. I don't even. That's not even close to naming all the people that were involved with that. And Keith.
And even
Davis.
the village staff, they were really, you know, like I said, I singled out 4 or 5 people, but you know, I mean, the setup was just a tremendous amount of work and cleanup.
And things I saw, like, you know, I'll use Steve Phillips, for example, who came down with his family and saw the garbage cans that were overflowing, and Steve left his family and went and cleaned up.
A pair of gloves that went right in.
It went right in. So,
Right.
you know, that was kind of some of the stuff that happened there. So it was a great day. So just a couple of things I wanted to touch on. The Ragamuffin Parade, you know, is on Sunday, October 27th. That's I think it's a 2:00 start.
I believe so, yeah.
And we have the Halloween party on Saturday, October 26th, which will be at the Southampton Center. So it's for adults is what that
What
is.
time does that start, Mark? Do you know?
It's 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, yeah.
7 to 11.
Oh,
It'll
it
be
is.
open bar, food, DJ, and it's a costume contest. It's $200 for the best male, $200 for the best female costume, and $500 for the best group.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, and there's a haunted house that's going to go on. It's be there the weekend before and the weekend of.
Right, and the haunted
Thanksgiving,
house is $5 to go in. I think it's 12 to 5 during the day, and then if you want to, you know, that's with the lights on, and if you want lights out, then you go at night. Yeah. But it's pretty
So
good.
will that be open on Sunday for the children
Yes.
as they come through?
It will be open on Sunday also.
And then there's a teenage custom contest on the 31st.
Oh. There.
Yep.
Oh, that's exciting.
So it's a lot of good stuff that's happening around 25 June. Hampton's International Film Festival is this weekend. Tomorrow night's the kickoff here in Southampton. So if you can go out and support, they have a box office at 25 Jobs Lane, and that they have we're a big supporter of what we did this summer. So it's building that relationship with these guys. So. But a lot of good stuff happening in the village in the fall. So, that seems to be it for me. Have anybody from the public who'd like to make comments?
Bill Rand.
Okay. Left with CJ. He took them all out of here. So, okay. So I'm going to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel matters involving village employees.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.